And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Norrie with two guests, Ari Cohen, Fred Gutierrez. Fred, how do you get around these computers then on some of these later models? What happens?
Well, there's basically a couple things that you can do. There's basically the way it works is that as Ari was stating, is that they become a little more sensitive to what the fuel temperature, actually what the temperature is of the exhaust. What the fuel mixture ratio is. They like to keep it 14-to-1 to 14.9 to 1 air-to-fuel mixture ratio. The way you get around that is you actually can hook up an extension. They look like a spark plug extender. It's kind of like an O2 blocker. It helps reduce the temperature of the oxygen sensor, and it says, okay, hey, we're running a little cooler. We're fine. We don't have to run as rich. They have things that some cars have what's called a maximum absolute pressure sensor, the MAP sensor, which you can hook a signal dampener on there, which I know Ari, they refer to it as the MAP sensor enhancer, which works great on, especially what our experience has been is if you're, it's a couple of dials inside your car with some resistors in a little box and a little control there that allows you to switch from one setting to another to let your car run as lean as it can. You can't really beat the computer, though. I have to say that computer is, if you try to beat the computer, you shut the car down. It just won't operate.
Okay. And I also know in Missouri and California, we've got mandated emissions. Will this allow the car to continue to pass its emissions inspections?
That's an interesting question, because like in California, for example, they have the most stringent emissions tests in the country. And what ends up happening is that they have a ceiling on how much emissions or unburned fuel your car can produce. And then, but they have a floor also. That means that if your car produces less emissions than what their level is for that particular vehicle, then they don't pass you because they assume there's something wrong with the car. Yeah. Based on the car, you can actually either disconnect the unit, or in some states, and what we'd like to see happen is, if you have a professional installation done on your vehicle with a professional system, that the state will allow you to say, okay, well, you actually have done this. You can, your car's been professionally.
It's almost like it's certified, right?
Yeah, it's certified, and we're training installers because what we were going to do is run this network marketing style since we own a company that does that, so we can actually get the brush fire out there and get people involved, and money that's not going to go to the oil companies for gasoline can go back into the hands of people's families.
Sure.
And so that's what we're doing with that, so they actually can get full installed systems and everything like that.
Ari, what about dealerships? Will, let's say the engine's under warranty, will they open up the hood, look at this, and say, hey, I'm sorry, you've altered your engine, we're not going to take care of your warranty? Or has there ever been a problem with that yet?
Let me put it this way: we've never in the over 20,000 books and readers that we have, I've never had that become a problem. And basically, what would happen on a brand new car? And really, there aren't too many people with brand new cars driving around with these on them. But the people that are, reportedly what happens is they just take it off when they go to the dealership. I mean, it takes 10 minutes to take it off.
It's that simple. Okay.
It's like, Fred was saying earlier, it's a couple vacuum hoses and a wire.
Okay, so it's not like it's a permanent attachment to the engine.
No, and you don't have to alter the car. In other words, you don't have to drill any holes in your car or take anything out. It's a very, very simple installation.
It's a supplemental system, I guess, wouldn't you say, Ari?
Yeah, it's supplemental.
That's the easiest way to refer to it. Yeah. So it actually completely can be removed and reinstalled, or reinstalled in a different vehicle. We've had people do that.
Is there any way, Ari, that in the future that you'll cut deals with the automobile industry and get these put on these engines for new cars when they're coming right out of the showroom?
I would love to see that, George, but I mean, the likelihood of that happening, it's almost unbelievable that Chrysler, Ford, and Chevy and all these big companies, GM, Honda, are going to allow, or I'm going to have any more pull on them than ExxonMobil. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much the oil companies are in the pocket.
You know what? I think the automobile industry now, at least the U.S. industry, might be a little more open to ideas than they were a few years ago.
I don't know. I mean, let me put it this way. I remember, and I'll just tell you a quick story if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I remember back in, gosh, it was over 10 years ago. It must have been 13, 14 years ago. I went to the LA Auto Show. And this is where they reveal all the new cars for the upcoming year, and you know,
and futuristic cars.
Futuristic cars, and one of the cars that I think it was 1995, and one of the cars that they were showing, it was a Dodge Stratus, and it was a concept car. And now a Dodge Stratus is is a four-door family car. This one, of course, was more futuristic looking, and it had a 250 horsepower gas engine, and then it had two 50 horsepower electric motors. So in total, it was 350 horsepower. They gave the specs on the car. It did 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, which is up there with, you know, Porsche and Mustang and Corvette. And it got something like 80 miles per gallon. And they revealed this car in the mid-90s, and they had tested it, and it was like revolutionary. And this was before hybrids started really hitting the market. Disappeared. Never heard of it again. Now we're coming out with a Chevy Tahoe that gets 22 miles per gallon, and that's a hybrid. You know, whoop-de-doo. You know, I could get 22 miles per gallon on my 68 Chevy pickup truck.
A car that would come out today at 80 miles a gallon would sell like hotcakes.
And the technology's there. That's what I'm saying. But the marketing and advertising is so good that it makes you think that it can't be done. But people were getting, you know, 40 miles per gallon in the 70s.
Yeah, well, anything that's high tech like that, they refer to it as a concept car, and that's how they keep it out of mass production.
Right.
They just kind of like whet our appetite and say, well, this can happen, this could occur, but what they do is they actually table it because, like you said, George, the big oil companies. You know, wouldn't you like to have a list of the board of directors on the car manufacturing's, the list of who the board of directors are for each car manufacturer? And who their major stockholders are.
Well, you know,
might find out their oil company people.
Something's got to change eventually because people just can't continue to keep paying this over and over again.
Right.
You know, we see what's happening with the housing market, and, you know, the gasoline prices are crazy. I mean, in Missouri, I just saw $3.99. They kept it right under $4, so it wouldn't have that shock value to you. In California, where I'm going back in a couple days, I'm sure it's well over $4 in some places.
Definitely.
I mean, it's just crazy. People can't keep doing it. It's, you know, restaurants are hurting because people aren't going out as much. Stores are hurting.
You know who else is hurting is, I mean, just if you think of how widespread this is really becoming, I talk to a lot of truckers. Right, and a lot of truckers are contracted, you know, self-employed, and they have their little fleet or they have their own little truck, and they get jobs through brokers, right? So I'm a broker. I say, hey, you know, George, I want you to drive this load from here to there, and I'll pay you X dollars to do it. And you have to jack up your prices to put food on your table because the diesel is becoming so expensive.
Yeah, that cuts right into your profits.
Check this out. I heard from a guy who said, this guy is a trucker, and his company has over 500 trucks, and he has this big company down in Texas. He said that it's got so bad now that he's literally having people that the brokers won't give him the business anymore because they would rather give that business to the dishonest people who are dealing with credit card fraud and using people's credit cards to pay for their diesel on the road so that they can drive down and undercut the next guy.
Jeez.
I mean, it's like, what's happening? I mean, this is...
When does it end?
When does it end, yeah. And the way I look at it is this. It's real simple. Let's stop putting so much energy and thought, not that you shouldn't think about it because we absolutely should, but let's stop complaining and talking about things that we cannot control and start fixing things that we can control, like our habits. And the thing about the Water4Gas technology is it's something that anybody can do, you know, and we're not trying to make it complicated or esoteric. It's like any one of us can go out there in our garage and do it ourselves, or if we don't feel that we have the mechanical
expertise,
we go call Fred or one of his guys to do it for us.
Fred, you go all over the country, or you have people that do this?
Yeah, we're actually training people all over the country. Like we're over in Hawaii now, where gas is wonderfully 409 per gallon over in Kona side.